Hey guys! So I haven't been on YouTube in a really long time and I feel so bad, but I am finally home for Christmas break. I survived finals week and that was quite the accomplishment. I'm so happy I'm done with that. But anyways, I'm home and so I'm going to be doing hopefully lots of videos. But anyways, I thought I would start with a video about the books that I have read lately. And recently I've read 3 of Rainbow Rowell's books. I haven't read Eleanor and Park yet and I'm hoping to get to that soon. But I really wanted to talk about all of these books that I've read lately because I haven't done individual review videos of them yet because I just haven't had time. So I'm just going to kind of talk about them all together. And the 3 books that I will be talking about, first is Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and Landline, which is her newest book that came out in the summer or something. So yeah, Rainbow Rowell is probably, after reading all of these books, is one of my new favorite authors. She is amazing. I am so surprised at how great her books are. I have never been a contemporary fan. I think I've said this before, but lately, and mostly because of Rainbow Rowell's books, I've become more and more into contemporary books. The first book that I read by Rainbow Rowell is Attachments, and I didn't read this recently. I read it like last Christmas is when I got this. So it was kind of a while ago, but I wasn't doing booktube at the time. And since then I never really talked about it in a review video. So I wanted to talk about it now. I love Attachments. Attachments is still my favorite book out of all of her books that I've read so far. I think it's absolutely adorable. I gave this 5 stars. It's basically, I'm sure you've heard of it because, you know, Rainbow Rowell, but basically it's about this guy who works in sort of the tech part of this company, and he reads people's emails for security reasons, looking for like inappropriate content, and he ends up reading this email exchange between these 2 women, and he ends up falling in love with one of them. But by the point that he falls in love with her, he doesn't know what to do because it would be really creepy for him to just go introduce himself and say, oh, I'm in love with you because I basically stalk your emails. So it's really funny and it's really, really cute, and it's a fast read. It's really not that long and difficult to read at all. The main characters are older. It's not a young adult book, it's an adult book. So they're like, you know, adults, like 20s, 30s, I'm not 100% sure. But it's not hard to read coming from like a young adult perspective because I was 18 when I read this, and at that point I hadn't really read any adult books, like, you know, consistently. And it was really easy to get into, and the age gap between me and the characters didn't bother me at all. So if you are just a young adult reader, I would still suggest that you pick this up because I think it's great and I think you'll love it. The next one that I read, and I just read this in, I think, October, is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. And I bought this over the summer because everyone had been telling me how amazing it was and how I needed to read it. And since I loved Attachments so much, I just decided to order it on Amazon. And this was in my book unboxing video that I did back in July. And it took me forever to get to it. But I read it in October and I loved it so much. Oh my gosh. This really stuck out with me because I just started college in September. So this was my first semester at like an actual college. Like, I'd done community college throughout high school, but this was my first semester, like, you know, away from home, living in a dorm, going to like a real college, and it was like a huge transition. And then Kath is going through the exact same transition in the story, so I really connected with her on that level especially, and just assets of her personality, just kind of how she's more introverted and quiet and how she loves to write. And there were so many things that I just loved about Kath. Also, I saw many things about Kath that I think so many different types of people can relate to. I think there are so many different aspects of her that people can relate to, no matter, like, you know, what walk of life you've come from or what your dominant personality traits are. I just think she is a really relatable character, and if not her, then other people in the story are very relatable, and they're all very real. I loved all the characters. I loved her roommate Reagan. I thought she was really funny. I loved Levi. Everyone loves Levi. He was adorable, and I loved his personality. He was just like a really nice, decent character, which I really loved because a lot of times in YA it's, you know, going for the bad guy, and like, I'm just like, okay, you know, that's okay, but sometimes I want the good guy to win, and yeah, so I loved him. He was great. But yeah, you should definitely read it. I think it's adorable. If you love contemporary, definitely read it. Even if you don't, I think you should try it out because Rainbow Rowell is who really got me into contemporary novels when I didn't like them before. Anyway, I gave this book 5 stars. Obviously, I loved it. And the last book by Rowell that I read, which I just finished like yesterday, I think, is Landline. Yay! I got this for my birthday back in October. I got it from my brother, and I was really excited to pick this up. It took me a while to actually read it because I was so swamped with school. And being an English major, you already have so many books assigned to you to read that it's kind of like I don't have time to do anything else. So it took me a long time. I started this when I got home from Christmas break, which was on like Thursday. And I finished it in a few days and I really liked it. I didn't love Landline as much as I loved the other 2 books. And I think it was mainly because I didn't connect with the main character as much. I ended up giving this 4 stars because I really liked it. I love Rowell's writing style. Her characters are always so incredibly real and they're so different. They're very unique. Her stories are just entertaining, and this was very entertaining and funny and kept me reading, and I cared about the main characters. But I think the main thing for me was that the age difference was much more of like a problem. The main character is in her 30s and she's married and she has children, and although this was still very interesting, it's just not something that I can relate to at this point in my life. So I think that's the main reason I didn't connect with it as much as I did the other 2 books. I still recommend this for young readers if you like Rowell. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it if you haven't read anything by Rowell, just because as like a 19-year-old, I don't think this is the best work like for me, but I still did love the book. I love Georgie, I love Neil, I love that they're very different characters. They're not just sort of black and white stereotypical characters that you find in everyday books that you read. I love that there's a lot of depth to the story and it's dealing with things that can actually happen. I mean, she's talking about how her marriage isn't really perfect and it's kind of falling apart and she doesn't know what to do about it. And it struggles with the theme throughout the book that, is love really enough? And I think that's, it's an interesting theme that hasn't really been tackled a whole lot in books that I have read, but I read a lot of young adult books, and so the love in young adult books is very impractical. It's kind of like insta love and you're gonna stay together forever, which doesn't really happen. So this was really interesting for me to read about something more realistic, which I thought was very refreshing. I loved the idea that Rowell touches on that being in a marriage and being in love is not just easy and it's a lot of work. And I think that's an important thing to discuss, and I thought it was just really interesting to read about. So I really liked that. Also, I want to talk about the end. So if you haven't read Landline, then it's not a huge spoiler, but it's kind of a spoiler. So yeah, if you haven't finished the book or read the book, then don't listen to this part. So anyways, my friend had told me, Ryan, had told me that Kath and Levi make like a cameo appearance in the book, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, where are they gonna be? And then I finished the book and I was like, wait a minute, I didn't like remember seeing them, what happened? And so then I like googled it and I was like, where are they, because I don't remember. And apparently everyone is saying that the couple that Georgie runs into at the airport when she's going to Omaha, and like the very end of the book when she's trying to get to Neil, the couple that basically gives her a ride to Neil's house is supposed to be Kath and Levi, and I just died. Oh my gosh, I thought that was adorable, because like then looking back on it, because like no names were given, at least I don't remember any names being given. But looking back on it, like how Levi acted, and he was all like friendly and like lending her a coat, and then like Kath was just like sitting there like, and she lent her shoes, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is exactly like them. And I was just kind of freaking out, and I was so happy. And so yeah, that was probably my favorite part of the book, because it was like Kath and Levi, and they were engaged. So that made me really happy, just gonna say. So yes, these were the 3 Rowell books that I've read over the past few months-ish. And I hope to read Eleanor and Park sometime soon, because I've heard that one's like the best one. At least that was her first one, I think. So I really want to read that because it sounds adorable, and I need to read that. So I'm gonna get around to that sometime soon. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Please read Rowell's books if you haven't already. I don't know why you haven't. They're great. Yeah, have a wonderful day. Bye.